goodness. Oh, my God. We survived another Royal Rumble. Another January, another Royal Rumble. We got through it. And it was a good weekend. It was a great weekend, in fact. Not just a good weekend, a great weekend for everybody involved, whether you are a fan of WWE, the WWE themselves. If you're a content creator on this platform, everybody benefited from the Royal Rumble. How so? Let's see. Well, if you're someone like me, I know I'm just gauging everything on my channel and my channel only. I don't give a shit what anybody else is doing. Royal Rumble review did almost 80,000 views, 3,000 likes. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable analytics and statistics and numbers for the Royal Rumble. Bunch of new subscribers. Monday Night Raw did well on Monday. Some good stuff. So I thank you guys for showing up and really coming out to support JD during the big Royal Rumble weekend. If you are fans, like we all are, I'm a fan, even though I do this podcast. You're a fan, even though you're listening to me. You might not agree with me. We're all fans here. Fans benefited watching the Royal Rumble. WWE almost, and I say almost, got everything right. There were two little blemishes on WWE's face during the Royal Rumble. One could be on the face and one could be on the ass, however you want to look at it. But the majority of the fan base was very pleased with what they got at the Royal Rumble. Edge has come back. The great sounds of Alter Bridge and Metalingus and Miles Kennedy on the PA system once again in WWE. I am very happy to hear that once again on my TVs on Monday. Edge came back, monumental return, very emotional. It was a great night to see that happen. The look on his face was absolutely priceless. The effort he put forth in the Royal Rumble after 9 years away was incredible. There's no reason to not like that Royal Rumble just based on that aspect alone. I don't give a shit what anybody says or what else happened in that Royal Rumble. You cannot hate on that Royal Rumble for that specific moment alone. Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble. He eliminated Brock Lesnar. I looked back in the aftermath of destruction after kind of being worried about what they were going to do with Brock Lesnar coming in at number one and dominating everybody, burying most of the roster. It actually ended up working in WWE's favor, and I got to give them credit for booking what I thought was a very enjoyable Royal Rumble. So Brock Lesnar was dominant. I love that aspect of the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre was in there. Keith Lee had a great showdown with Brock Lesnar. And it was just a great moment when Drew McIntyre really took advantage of all that. Lesnar tiring and sweating profusely. Claymore kick over the top rope. Goodbye. Eliminated. Pretty much set up that world title match at WrestleMania. And Drew McIntyre ended up winning the entire thing. Roman Reigns did not win the Royal Rumble. That's a fucking thing that deserves a celebration and a parade all in itself. Roman Reigns did not win the Royal Rumble. Praise be to God. Yes, I don't want Roman Reigns to win another Royal Rumble for the remainder of his career. Because what good is it going to do? What good is it going to do? He's got one under his belt already. Why the fuck does he need another one? And it didn't make any sense this year now, did it? Everything about this Royal Rumble was thumbs up. Except for two things. Number one, actually, three things. Number one, Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I don't know if you are a fan of Charlotte Flair or not. If you are, I couldn't give a single shit. Charlotte is overrated. Charlotte is overexposed. Charlotte did not deserve the Royal Rumble. Shayna Baszler did not win the Royal Rumble after coming in and eliminating 8 women in about 3 minutes. I don't know how you're going to put that woman in there with a dominant performance like that. She accomplished what Bianca Belair did in 30 minutes in 3. And she still didn't win the Royal Rumble. And then Santina Marella is in the Royal Rumble. You mean to tell me that You had nobody else in that spot to get just a small glimmer of spotlight on them. There was nobody else in the Royal Rumble. I would have taken legitimately anybody else. Piper Niven, Ginny, fucking Kaylee Ray. I would have taken anybody. Vanessa Bourne, Aaliyah. I would have taken fucking Peyton Royce and Billy Kay over them. Santina, really? So that was definitely, that Women's Royal Rumble went from excellent to one of the worst ever. And it definitely was the blemish on WWE's face right before that big date. That pimple right on your nose. Where the fuck did this thing come from? And you got to stare at the beautiful woman sitting across from you at dinner with this big fucking red thing on your face. And she's like, look at this fucking cretin. And I gotta be sitting here across from this fucking disgusting motherfucker. Right? So the Royal Rumble was, all in all, thumbs up show. It was good for everybody. It was good for everybody. So coming out of the Royal Rumble, we got so much news. I got so much news coming out of the Royal Rumble that it's going to make my ears bleed. It legitimately is going to make my ears bleed, man. I got news on Lesnar. I got news on Riddle. I got news on McIntyre. I got news on Reigns. I got news on Charlotte Flair and what she's going to be doing at WrestleMania, supposedly. Rhea Ripley is her name. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair is rumored for WrestleMania. Oh my God, that is a match I'd love to see. You know what? I don't want to see it. I would much rather see it over Becky Lynch and Bayley, but how many of you are thinking about this match without actually thinking about the repercussions? How many of you are thinking about this match and thinking to yourselves, oh, I can't wait to see it, without actually thinking if it makes sense or not? Well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. We're going to go over why it does not make sense and why, if Charlotte Flair goes down to NXT, what absolutely needs to happen. So you don't want to miss this show at all. I am JD. Thank you guys so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is episode 311, part number 1 for your Friday, January 31st, 2020. First and foremost, before we get into the wrestling news, gotta wish my mom a happy birthday. It is her birthday today, and I wish her all the best, and I will see her on Sunday. And I got her some nice flowers. What kind of flowers? I don't know yet. She doesn't know yet. So, actually, I do know what they are, but I won't see her on Sunday, and she won't know what they are until I see her. But I wish her another year of happiness and health and success, and she's my mom, and I love her. So, there you go. Wanted to get that out of the way because it is her birthday today. My birthday's next week. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll be doing something. I'm sure of it. So, now that that's out of the way, it's amazing to me, man. It's amazing to me how a lot of people in the community, for the most part, enjoyed the Royal Rumble. And you get these one or two skags in the community or in the comment section. Oh, this Rumble sucked. Oh, JD is a WWE shill. Now, I have to know. I have to know. How could anybody sit here and call me a WWE shill? A, you didn't watch the review. B, you're not a fan of the fucking channel if you're calling me a WWE shill. Oh, JD's a WWE shill and he shits on AEW. These are the comments that I heard during the week. I'm like, what? Are you mental? Are you new around here? A WWE shill because I enjoyed the Royal Rumble. People were actually out there saying that it was predictive programming. It's like follow the leader. One person in the community says it's good, then everybody else says it's good. Listen, asshole, if it's good, it's good. If it sucks, I will let you know when it sucks. When have I ever been afraid to sit here and say that something sucked when everybody else in the community thought it was the best ever? Now, I don't know if that was the dumbest thing I heard all week, but this one may take the cake. People, I guess, a certain group of people in the community, people that actually have a presence in this community, they went out there publicly and stated this. Now, I know for a fact that my audience are some of the smartest in the community. And when I reiterate what I heard and seen this week, you're going to look at me and you're going to be like, how the fuck is that even possible? Like, who would say such a stupid thing? People were telling other people, there was groups of people talking amongst themselves in the community, that the 2020 Royal Rumble was the greatest Royal Rumble that WWE has ever produced. Really? The Royal Rumble 2020 was the best Royal Rumble the WWE has ever produced? Hi, I'm 1992. I'd like to have a fucking word with you. What? How do those words even fucking formulate in your mouth and then come out? Now, it was good. It was good. It was probably the best Royal Rumble in recent memory. But the best Royal Rumble in WWE history? Bro, come on. And I can't listen to anybody like that, man. If you told me that, I'd honestly walk away from the conversation. Who? What? Goodbye. I can't talk to you. This is sheer stupidity you're telling me now. Best Royal Rumble in WWE history. Oh, my God. Yeah, what are you, fucking Michael Cole? Jesus Christ. Lobbying for Michael Cole's job over here, bro. Oh, my God. That was the funniest thing I heard probably ever. Greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Give me a break. It was good. It was good for everybody, and hopefully WWE can keep the momentum going into WrestleMania 36. Anyway, follow me on social media, man, at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. If you're new, turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys missed any of the content that I uploaded this week, we got some cool stuff going on, man. We got some good stuff going on. Monday Night Raw was Monday. Tuesday, I didn't really do anything. Wednesday, we did AEW Dynamite live here on YouTube. NXT, we did live on YouTube on Thursday. And I am here for Off the Script this afternoon. And then tonight, SmackDown will be regularly scheduled programming. So that's that. I've been trying out the live thing lately just to kind of get a grasp on it, to get myself ready for future projects that I hope to unveil to you guys as the weather gets nicer. So that's the reason I was doing that. But if you guys want to go check out any of those live streams or any of the other videos that you might have missed during the week, everything you need is linked down below in the description of this very video. And I got to show you guys, man. It is available. Follow me, my sons. Follow me, my sons and daughters, as I guide you to righteousness and I guide you to logic on Monday and Friday night. The YWC Messiah t-shirt is now available on bonfire.com. Go and get yourself a t-shirt. It is readily available right now. A multitude of designs, a multitude of colors. You guys can get a hoodie, a tank top. If you're going to the gym, a regular t-shirt. You guys can get it all, variety of colors, from women colors, pink and yellow and light blue, to manly colors like gunmetal gray and charcoal and black and midnight blue. I cater to everybody, man. I cater to everybody. Go and get yours today. Link will be down in the description, right at the top of this very video. Thank you guys so very much for all your support. Anyway, let's get into the news. I got a lot of it. Shut my iPad off. I got my Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair notes in there. We're going to go over that in a little bit when we get to it in this particular podcast. But let's start off with the Royal Rumble, man. Royal Rumble, great show. Thought it was a thumbs-up show, no question. Lots of highlights, lots of moments, lots of emotion. The Royal Rumble struck everybody. They played with everybody's emotions. You, as a human being, had every human emotion felt. You felt every human emotion that a human being could possibly feel during the Royal Rumble. Hatred, disdain, disgust, love, everything. Sadness. Every single human emotion was felt during the Royal Rumble. Did that generate enough interest for the Royal Rumble this year? And the answer is no. Kobe Bryant, 8 others passed away the morning of the Royal Rumble. Tragic helicopter accident. That event captured the world's attention, and WWE superstars mourned the loss as well of Kobe Bryant and everybody on board. There were a lot of people focused on the Grammy Awards as well, which took place at the Staples Center, the place where Bryant is obviously a legend for the LA Lakers. That's his basketball home. Google searches for the Royal Rumble events were down 50% lower than usual. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that their reader responses for this year's event was down 40% as well, as he explained the following, and I quote, "Every WWE pay-per-view, even Saudi shows, will crack top 20 Google searches, and this didn't even crack top 20, and it's the Royal Rumble, the number 2 show of the year." Which, it's not less searches. I mean, the searches were equivalent to a show that would do maybe 250,000 pay-per-view buys, and the Royal Rumble was one that would do that, definitely, and way, way above that, historically, in the pay-per-view era. So yeah, the interest in the Rumble this year was way down, end quote. WWE might have captured some attention after the Royal Rumble was over with Edge and McIntyre and Lesnar and Charlotte and everything else that happened at the Royal Rumble. Becky beating Asuka. The road to WrestleMania always has a chance to bring in more fans as well, because those are the lapsed fans. Those are the fans that don't watch at all during the year because they feel like if they take 12 months off and they come back once a year at WrestleMania, that nothing really is going to change at all. You know, it's pretty much going to be the same thing when they leave as when they come back. And that's the way that they feel. They show up for WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania, and WrestleMania is universal as the biggest wrestling show in the world every single year. So that brings back everybody just for that weekend. So the build towards this year's Rumble and the events that surrounded the day seem to have caused a distraction this year in the interest significantly being down for the Rumble. Listen, I don't really believe this report from Meltzer. I honestly think with the Google searches and all the interest in the Royal Rumble, it would have been as normal. It would have been as normal on Google and on YouTube and everywhere else as far as interest if the Kobe tragedy didn't happen and then the Grammys weren't happening, which also had a big Kobe feeling over it. That entire tragedy took over the world, pretty much. I mean, everybody was talking about it. So it's like, of course, you had 9 people die in a helicopter crash, one of them being one of the biggest icons in sports history, and his daughter. So clearly, that's going to take precedent over a fucking Royal Rumble show. I mean, I don't even know why that's news. I just threw that in this particular podcast today because, hey, it's Royal Rumble news, and it's fucking ridiculous, and I want you guys to know how ridiculous it is. If that did not happen, the Royal Rumble interest would have been as normal as it is every single year. It's the fucking Royal Rumble. It's the second biggest show of the year. People show up for the Rumble to watch the Rumble because the Rumble is one of those things that brings you back to the glory days of your childhood. Everybody loves the Royal Rumble. If you polled everybody on what your favorite wrestling show is all year, guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them will be Royal Rumble. Everybody says it. Corey Graves, the first thing he said. Michael Cole, the first thing that he said during the first match, live, when the show aired. This is my favorite show of the year. Corey Graves agreed. Everybody loves the Royal Rumble. If the Kobe tragedy didn't happen, it would be right back to where it should be as far as interest. So that was kind of silly for Meltzer to even, I guess, report. Like, why was it down? Clearly, you know why it was down. There was a worldwide tragedy that happened in California with Kobe Bryant. So that's that. I don't take that to be significant whatsoever. The biggest thing that happened at the Royal Rumble, no matter if you are talking about the Rumble match itself or the overall event, the biggest thing that happened at the Royal Rumble in general was Edge coming back and returning to the WWE as an active in-ring performer at the age of 46. He looks phenomenal for 46 years old. One of the most beloved superstars in the history of the company. Everybody cried. There was sheer emotion, real emotion, not only during the Royal Rumble when people heard his theme music go off, but on Monday Night Raw as well. And that savage attack, which was absolutely fucking phenomenal by Randy Orton, I never seen people emotionally invested in something like that in a very long time in WWE. You probably have to go back to the days of Daniel Bryan to really get that real fucking emotion. Kofi tried, but it really wasn't anything like Daniel Bryan's. It was similar because the road to get to where they wanted to be was similar. But, I mean, that type of emotion with Edge and Randy Orton was on a completely different fucking level. I mean, it was to the point where people would have jumped the barricade if Randy Orton jumped off the second turnbuckle and did anything to Edge's neck with that steel chair. It was that crazy. People with their hands over their mouth and they were just genuinely shocked. Jaws were on the fucking floor. It was great. And there's nobody that does it better in that moment, in that situation, to play with everybody's fucking heartstrings than Randy Orton. He's absolutely amazing in that role. I don't know why, after that, you would ever want to see him a babyface ever again, to be honest with you. But Edge, he's back. He's back. Now, I got news on why he's back. But what you guys don't know is that Edge was going to go to AEW. Tony Khan literally threw everything, including the kitchen sink, to get Adam Copeland to sign with All Elite Wrestling. Edge then used AEW and Tony Khan's offer as leverage for a bigger WWE contract. Smart. So Edge said this on Twitter. Remember this? When he said, and I quote, in regards to his return, still not, period. See, this is why I stated all those weeks ago he should have kept his mouth shut. If he kept his mouth shut, it would have looked a lot better for him in the end. He denied, and then he comes back and everybody's fucking crying and overly emotional when he is in the Royal Rumble. If you didn't say anything, then you look like less of an idiot in the end. Now you look back on that and I'm like, bro, what are you doing really? Your best bet is to keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything when people are giving you a report or you're coming back. Mute them. That's a lot of mutes. It's a lot of times you got to click the mute button, but don't answer anybody. Just let it go. And then when they see you, they see you. So, regardless of that, he was never exactly going to admit he signed a new WWE deal or he was returning to the Royal Rumble or what he was doing in Pittsburgh. Of course not. Why would he? I stated this multitudes of times. But it appears that Edge was very close to signing with All Elite Wrestling, and it was this All Elite threat that made WWE give him one of the biggest contracts in WWE history. Meltzer says about this particular story, AEW made an offer to Edge last summer, and Edge then took this offer to WWE to use as leverage. So what that states is that Edge kind of knew he was ready to come back. Edge knew he was ring ready with his neck last summer, which kind of correlates with the reports about SummerSlam and WWE allowing him to get physical with Elias in Toronto on the pre-show, giving Elias that spear. So it all adds up now. But before that, he went to go talk to good old Tony K. Good old TK, like MJF says. Meltzer says, and I quote, this all dates back to last summer when AEW made Edge an offer, a major offer, to wrestle a few matches per year. Edge used that offer, which he told WWE was for $3 million per year. And he would start when the company got a television deal, and he used this as leverage to get the same deal, but with WWE. So that was his leverage to get one of the highest deals in WWE history. The reports were out that his deal was for 5 matches and 25 television shows per year. Sounds like a Brock Lesnar deal, but I got news on that in just a little bit. So the money figure is correct, says Meltzer, but the date numbers are not accurate, and that there are more matches and dates involved in the deal. The deal is for far less than people like Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg have gotten, since Goldberg just earned $2 million just for doing his match with The Undertaker at the last Saudi show. I guess it also helps that when you're a WWE legend and the fans would love for you to get back in the ring, that WWE is not going to allow someone like Edge, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, to go walking on into AEW if he could wrestle, you're coming with us. You ain't going over there. If you're able to wrestle, you ain't going to wrestle for fucking AEW. What is it going to take to keep you here if you're ready to go? And WWE doctors cleared him. Now, is this a case of Edge? Did he want to wrestle for AEW? I don't think so. I don't think Edge wanted to wrestle for AEW. Edge got cleared by WWE doctors. Edge went through the WWE protocol to get cleared. How shitty would it have looked for Edge if they cleared him through their medical staff only to go to AEW? That would have been the biggest dick move that Edge could have pulled on Vince McMahon. So I don't see him doing that at all. I don't. And I don't think he would have wrestled a day for AEW. Though, a match with MJF, or a match with Cody, or a match with Omega, or Hangman, any of those guys would have been very enticing. There's no moment that would ever rival what happened to him at the Royal Rumble in AEW. So, did Edge make the right decision? Not only for his family, but he made one for himself. Nobody's going to care for him like WWE. And he made the right decision. Now, WWE should be throwing money like that at Edge, period, just for who he is and what he means to us as the fans. So I think he made the right decision. In WWE, they're not overpaying for him at all. I think he's worth $3 million to keep him here in the company. Absolutely. Now, the number of matches Edge will have in 2020 has also been revealed. Meltzer is reporting the $3 million, and that is actually backed up by a report from TalkSport. But the number of dates is off. There is a different number of dates for Edge. Meltzer noted that Edge was able to use his talks with AEW to leverage himself into getting one of the highest deals in WWE history. Edge's deals the deal for Edge calls for more than 5 matches and 25 television shows per year. That was first reported earlier in the week after the Royal Rumble, when more of his contract was being shed amongst the general public. So fans of Edge will see him quite a bit on WWE TV over the next 3 years. Edge is being paid more than most, but not as much as Lesnar. Goldberg, like I mentioned, was being paid $2 million for the match last year in Saudi Arabia. Edge and Daniel Bryan being cleared makes you wonder who might be next. Could be Paige. Could be Paige. I absolutely see Paige wrestling for the WWE again. And I mentioned this before the Royal Rumble. I did a little live stream here on the channel where we were talking about Edge and being cleared and his neck and the spinal stenosis that he had that ended his career. Sting is a little older. He's a little older, but he's suffering from the same thing that Edge had to retire from. There's no question. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Sting is going to be wrestling. Now, there are rumors that Sting and The Undertaker are going to be taking place at WrestleMania this year. I don't think so. I don't think the WWE needs to book The Undertaker at WrestleMania. If they want to leave The Undertaker off of WrestleMania, by all means, leave him off WrestleMania. That leaves another spot open for a couple of younger guys to get on that WrestleMania card that might not have seen a WrestleMania card if The Undertaker was there. And these Saudi shows have the billing, foolishly and just awful, that they're even billed this way. They're billed as equal or greater than WrestleMania. So if that's the case, and Prince Salman wants big names and he wants big attractions for these shows and he wants to get his money's worth, WWE could easily keep The Undertaker off of WrestleMania, put youth over aging legends at WrestleMania, and save this shit, because it's going to be a complete shit show. If this was 2012, this is a different story. But this is 2020, 8 years later. 8 years later. With a Sting that's coming off of a fucking neck injury that ended his career, and The Undertaker with 2 fucking hip surgeries. If this was 2012, you got my attention. In 2020, I couldn't give a single shit. So, to save WrestleMania from being, garbage, or having WrestleMania just end the night with a blemish because of this, keep this match to Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm thinking. Sting and The Undertaker are coming back. And Sting is more than likely going to get cleared. If Edge was cleared, if Bryan was cleared, 2 serious cases. I see Paige being cleared eventually when WWE calls for it. They'll call upon Paige when they need her for a big moment, when it makes sense, when it fits their narrative. And Sting If it doesn't happen this year, I don't know. I mean, the longer it goes on, the less I want to see this match with The Undertaker. I barely want to see it now. But if it happens, it's happening in Saudi Arabia. And the best place for it is either at Super Showdown or whatever. Next time they go to Saudi Arabia is in November, right before the Survivor Series. Save it for them. Because it'll line up as being The Undertaker's, last hurrah, last ride. 30 years in the business. So, Edge and Daniel Bryan being cleared makes you wonder who's next. Hulk Hogan has spoke with Vince McMahon about one final match at WrestleMania. No. I'm sorry, Hulkster. I'm sorry. Nobody wants to see you in the fucking ring, okay? Please. Enough of this shit. Yes, I get it. You watch. And yes, I get it. You watch and you wish you were there. You wish you were 40 years younger. I get it. Okay? Your time is over. Hogan Surf Shop is what you should be doing now, okay? Selling replica titles and fucking bandanas or whatever the fuck you got going on over there. Brutus Beefcake's fucking mask from when IRS fucking blasted him in the face with the briefcase in 93 on Monday Night Raw. That's what you should be selling. You should be in the fucking ring. Jesus Christ. I'd even go pay for the fucking briefcase that hit Beefcake in the face. If you got that over there, I gotta make my way down there. Anyway. Isn't that in Tampa? He's getting hopes of being in Tampa for WrestleMania. Nobody wants to see fucking Vince McMahon in the ring. If you even contemplate putting a match like that on the show and leaving off a young talent, oh my goodness, man. You're never going to hear the end of it from me. Hogan is scheduled to appear at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Just go over there. Make your money over there. You don't need to be at WrestleMania. And he's been working hard to get into shape for a final match. Again, I'll say this. WrestleMania, no. If Hogan wants to go to Super Showdown and wrestle, go ahead. Those shows are fucking community-wide embarrassment. So, if you want to go wrestle for Saudi Arabia, go ahead. Just add on top of the embarrassment that these Saudi Arabian shows have kind of garnered and developed in the community. So if you want to wrestle over there, go ahead. Go wrestle over there. Don't come to the United States and want to wrestle at WrestleMania. This is for the youngsters now. The people that are there every single week, every single day, working towards that all year. Fuck Hulk Hogan. So Sting came up over the weekend. His name was brought to everybody's attention via PW Insider. They reported that there's been talk of him doing something at Super Showdown. Austin, Stone Cold, said this week, with Edge's return, it does not make him consider returning to the ring. So for all you Stone Cold, Steve Weiser fans out there, it ain't happening. The man is happily retired and he does not need to wrestle. And I don't think at this point I would want to see it. I don't. The only time I wanted Austin to wrestle was that fucking build with CM Punk. They missed that opportunity. There's nobody in this company that I would want to see with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring. Nobody. So don't even bother. He knows to stay away because otherwise it's going to be embarrassing. He wants to hold his head up high and just leave it as is. Don't make things worse. Sasha Banks, the boss, Sasha Banks, the best main roster female talent in all of WWE, triggered. I see people fucking, that JD, Oscar's better. Sorry, clowns. Sasha is my girl. And I got to represent boss Sasha Banks. But it's been reported that WWE is planning on having Sasha Banks challenge best friend Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36 in April. As a result, a few people predicted the boss would win the Royal Rumble. I was one of them. Now, I have to mention here that I have, within good judgment, to tell you guys that I heard Sasha Banks was originally scheduled to win the Royal Rumble. Now, it was either, obviously, Shayna, and then there's always the wild card of Charlotte, right? I mean, it's Charlotte Flair. Her name is always going to be in the discussion. But then there was Sasha Banks. There's a lot of people in the company, a lot of people in that locker room that I would say, thought Sasha Banks was going to win the Royal Rumble. Not because she deserves it, which I do think she does. Becky won a Royal Rumble. Charlotte doesn't need a Royal Rumble. Sasha came back and has not looked good at all coming back. And I don't know what promises WWE made Sasha Banks to make her a little bit more happier, because she had every reason to be upset. She had legitimate reasons to walk out, and creative sucks. And if WWE wanted to keep Sasha Banks happy, giving her a Royal Rumble would have been a step in the right direction. I'm just saying. I mean, the woman works so hard, and it seems like she always comes up empty-handed because of WWE creative going with somebody else, or something political came up, so who's advocating for what, who wants this, who's crying. Meanwhile, this woman is... I mean, she came back, and what has happened with Sasha Banks? She's like, I feel like she's more irrelevant now than she was then. I don't get it. So a lot of people predicted, and a lot of people thought within the WWE that Sasha was going to win the Royal Rumble. And it would have made sense. Because Becky, on the Raw side, if you really wanted to go with Shayna could have had an easy win in the Elimination Chamber. That would have been her way to WrestleMania and Becky Lynch, if that's what they still wanted to do, which from what I understand is still their plan. Charlotte doesn't need it. Charlotte should not even be in the discussion for the Royal Rumble. Why? Why? I don't get why Charlotte needs to win the Royal Rumble. Why? Because she's unhappy? She's got 11 fucking title reigns. The fuck are you unhappy about? Why? Because Corey Graves says we need more Charlotte Flair? Look at what you fucking caused, clown. What about Sasha? Huh? Nobody talks about Sasha. Banks did not win the Royal Rumble, obviously. But she wasn't even a part of the fucking match. She wasn't even in the match. Now, the fucking android won the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble featured several NXT talents, one of which was Bianca Belair, who was my MVP of all Royal Rumble. The entire event, my MVP was Bianca Belair. She was fucking phenomenal. It's exactly what you look for when you watch a Royal Rumble. Someone like Bianca, who we all fucking love and admire, and she's great. She's got a great look. She's beautiful. Everything about her just fucking speaks star. And when she's in there for 33 minutes with 8 eliminations, that's what you look for. That's what I look for in a Royal Rumble. And WWE nailed it. And you'll know why they nailed it when you find out who booked the fucking match. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful is reporting that Sasha Banks was supposed to be a part of the match. Was supposed to be a part of the match. However, she was pulled at the last minute and replaced by Kelly. Let me repeat that. And in fact, you know what? I'm not even going to repeat that because that is absolutely fucking pathetic. Kelly. Fucking woman with 2 first names. Or a first name that's her last name. Kelly. With regards to why Banks wasn't in the match, Fightful is reporting that she was not cleared to compete. Okay. Let me repeat that. Sasha Banks was supposed to be a part of the match. So going into the Royal Rumble, I am to assume that Sasha Banks was to be in the Royal Rumble. Okay. So if my source is to be believed, Sasha and her name was brought up by everybody in the locker room as one who they thought was going to win the Royal Rumble. So if everybody thought she was going to win the Royal Rumble, then everybody thought she was going to be in the Royal Rumble. The original thought was that Sasha was going to be in the Royal Rumble. And then she got pulled for Kelly because she wasn't cleared to compete. If she wasn't cleared to compete, then nobody would have thought that she was going to be in the Royal Rumble. So something's going on. something fishy's going on, and I don't like the fucking stench of it. There's no word on how long Banks is going to be out. When asking why Sasha wasn't in the Rumble, says Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful was informed that Sasha wasn't cleared to compete. She's not wrestled since January 3rd. We weren't told the specifics of the injury or the severity of the injury, or even when she's expected to be back. End quote. Sasha is certainly one of the best in the WWE when it comes to female performers, so hopefully she is fit and able to compete at WrestleMania for her women's championship match against Bayley at WrestleMania. Oh, but JD, what makes you think that Sasha and Bayley's gonna happen, man? I don't want to see that again, man. You don't want to see it, but whose fault is that you don't want to see it? You don't want to see it, yet at the same time, you gotta see it because the women's division on SmackDown is fucking terrible, and I don't want to see Lacey Evans in the WrestleMania Women's Championship match. Yes, because Lacey Evans versus fucking Sasha Banks or Bayley is a WrestleMania-worthy match, right? Yes. Yeah, sure it is. To the fucking idiot with one brain cell, it's not even worth fucking YouTube bandwidth. That's what it's fucking worth. Fuck out of here. Now, there are other reports about the Royal Rumble that a lot of female superstars were mad about the Santina Marella spot. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. WWE thought they were slick in the Santina spot. I actually thought that Santina spot was awful. People were telling me, why don't you laugh about it? Why don't you lighten up a bit? When someone like that is in a Royal Rumble match to take a spotlight away from Killer Kelly or fucking Piper Niven or somebody else in NXT that wasn't in the fucking Royal Rumble, I got a problem with it. Ginny, right? Whoever else they got over in NXT UK, Isla Dawn, somebody. Now we got fucking Santina Marella. Fucking Cobra. You fucking kidding me? I'll show you my fucking Cobra, clown. Anyway. Sasha Banks, apparently, this is the other report, so I'm giving you multitudes of reports here. Sasha Banks has been injured all of January, according to reports. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. I still don't believe she's hurt. She might be hurt, but I don't think she's hurt, or as hurt as people say she is. So this is from Dave Meltzer in regards to the injury on Sasha Banks. They're not releasing any information which leads him to believe that it could be a concussion. One thing we are certain of is that Sasha Banks has been injured for practically the entirety of January. WWE has been making excuses for her television absence. Listen, if it was a concussion, WWE would not have done the last instance that we've seen of her on TV where Lacey Evans jumped her and Bayley, and she was in the medical room when Adam Pearce came in and said that Sasha and Lacey's not happening, but it's going to be Lacey and Bayley right now on SmackDown. There was a big brawl. There was a big ordeal there with Sasha Banks. So if Sasha Banks had a concussion, I don't think that she would have done that spot there. And WWE certainly would not have allowed her in that spot. So I honestly think it's either the hip or the lower back again. The same injury that came from the Hell in a Cell. Might be a lingering issue. I don't know. Or WWE, nobody's really talking about this. Is it the hip? Because I know it was the hip coming out of the Hell in a Cell match with Becky Lynch. Is it the hip? Or is it the fact that WWE is really not wanting to do anything with Sasha Banks? Maybe they're still pissed off. Maybe WWE took the opportunity to stick it to Sasha Banks when everybody wanted to see her in it. Well, everybody wanted to see her win it. Maybe they stuck it to Sasha Banks and everybody. And again, Sasha Banks, by keeping her out of a Royal Rumble in which she could have actively competed in, and wanted to fucking win. Seriously, nobody's thinking about that. How petty is it of WWE to do that? It is very likable. It is very, very, one of those situations that is very possible for WWE to go out there and do. I mean, look what they did to Matt Riddle in the Royal Rumble. Petty. Matt Riddle enters and in 1 minute eliminated? WWE could be as petty as anybody, and nobody's really thinking about that when it comes to Sasha Banks as well. She could be hurt. She could have been hurt. I don't think she's as hurt as people are putting on. If she was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, then she wasn't hurt. Everybody thought she was going to win or supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, and then, she's hurt. Okay, which one is it? She wasn't supposed to be in there because she's hurt, or she was going to be in it and win it and compete? I take option B. WWE probably left her out. So Meltzer says this. So Sasha's injured, and that's why she's not in the Rumble. I don't know the injury or the length of any type of injury. She's just been hurt for a while, which is why they've done all this stuff on SmackDown. Every week, there's an excuse why she's not wrestling Lacey Evans or anything. It's one of those things that I think where every week they think she's going to be cleared, and she doesn't get cleared. It was the same thing with the Royal Rumble. She was scripted to be in the Rumble, but she was not cleared. So yeah, when you usually know there's an injury and they don't tell you what it is, it's more often than not going to end up being a concussion, and Sasha's had a lot of them. I don't know that's the case at all, but I do know there's an injury. That told me nothing. That report literally told me nothing. I don't think Dave Meltzer really knows, and I don't think anybody's going to tell Dave Meltzer anything. Usually when Sasha Banks is injured, I think Sasha Banks' camp is going to keep it very private, because Mercedes is a very private individual. She doesn't want anything out there. She doesn't want anything out there. I don't know what else to tell you. So hopefully she's back, and hopefully she does get that WrestleMania moment, because I honestly think she deserves it. And she should have been in the Rumble, and if she was cleared to be in the Rumble and wasn't in the Rumble, I'm going to be fucking pissed. Because she was the one that I think everybody wanted to see win outside of the Shayna Baszler reason. I don't even think, even if you put them side to side, I think people would have chosen Sasha Banks over Shayna Baszler anyway. Just because it's Sasha Banks. I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully we find the real reason sooner rather than later. The real reason why Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble. The real reason why Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble. Folks, I mentioned this on my Monday Night Raw review. I went into a heated rant about this. Charlotte did not want to get eliminated by Shayna Baszler. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, but I don't know why that would be an issue. I have good reason to tell you, and I've been told by reputable sources to me, and my source is 100% legit. I believe everything my source tells me. Charlotte was not supposed to win the Royal Rumble. Charlotte is a political monster backstage. Shayna was going to win the Royal Rumble. Charlotte did not want to be eliminated by Shayna Baszler. I don't know why, and we'll talk about that in a second. This is what Dave Meltzer had to say about Charlotte Flair. Now, it's hard to think what the 10-time women's champion, is upset about. She's a 10-time women's champion. WrestleMania main eventing. She did that last year. And she's been promised even more. And she's still not happy. This is what Meltzer says, and I quote. Shayna Baszler logically should have won to set up Becky Lynch for WrestleMania. And was scheduled to win. I get why they switched from Roman Reigns to Drew McIntyre. Roman was supposed to win. They changed that to Drew McIntyre. I know why they switched from Shayna to Charlotte. I think it's just a collective debt, so to speak. Charlotte has been promised things in the past, then had the rug pulled out from underneath her, which is funny because the perception is the exact opposite. End quote. Folks, how scary is that? Charlotte had things promised to her in the past, had the rug pulled out from her, and if that's not scary to think about, not only in context there, but in regards to the Royal Rumble, she was promised things, had the rug pulled out from underneath her, and then they gave her the Royal Rumble as a make good. My God, are you shitting all over the fucking roster by doing that? How little do you fucking think of the full women's roster to go ahead and make promises to Charlotte? They unfortunately didn't happen. Oh my God! Card subject to change, bitch. Okay? And then they make good by giving her the Royal Rumble. How pathetic. How pathetic. Now, the latest reports. Now, first of all, I don't even know why Charlotte is upset about being eliminated by Shayna Baszler, as if Shayna Baszler is a fucking rookie that they picked up off the fucking street. Right? We're going to get into it now. My notes are here. Let me open my fucking iPad. This is ridiculous. Now, the latest reports are that Charlotte is going to appear on NXT. Now, the reports said that they have plans for Charlotte to show up on NXT Wednesday. They did not happen. Charlotte did not show up. So Charlotte is supposed to show up on NXT TV at Full Sail and use her Rumble win to challenge NXT champion Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley. Dave speculated that while Ripley's match is the one that's currently penciled in, could be WWE setting up Charlotte for a match with Ronda Rousey if she ever returns to the WWE. Now, that would be fucking awful. That would be awful. Now, I don't like the one little hiccup here in this thing. Charlotte mentioned and the way she accentuated her words on Monday. I will be challenging for a title match. I just don't know which one yet. Can you imagine? Now, I don't want to put this out there in the universe, but I'm going to do it anyway because this is WWE and I won't be surprised if this fucking happens. What do they call Ronda Rousey? The baddest woman on the planet? Can you imagine if Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble and challenged Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania just for Vince McMahon to get his fucking cock hard? His 74-year-old fucking cock hard over the main event that he wanted so badly last year, only to have it happen this year. Can you imagine Charlotte Flair cashing in her Royal Rumble victory for Ronda Rousey for the title of baddest woman in WWE? Or baddest woman on the planet. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine WWE and Vince McMahon doing that? I do. I don't think it'll happen because they'll be fucking blasted so badly that they might not even want to show their faces in public ever again. And if that does happen, I swear on this earth and everybody in it, then the Royal Rumble is never going to be a thing for the women ever again. I don't want to see another Royal Rumble ever executed, produced, or given to us for the women of WWE. Ever. Ever. In this lifetime and the fucking 1,000 lifetimes to come. I don't want to see it. And it doesn't need to happen. Ever, if that's the case. Now, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Let's talk about this. I sat down this afternoon with a nice cold glass of cranberry sour, Tuckahoe, flannel jammies, by the way, which was an excellent beer. And I sat down at my favorite beer bar and had a chicken sandwich. Yes, sandwich. Okay? So I sat down and I wrote this. Does it make sense? No. No, it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense if Charlotte goes down to NXT, asks for a title match because she is legitimately wanting herself to put over Rhea Ripley as the next female megastar in WWE. This will not work. This will not work. And it makes sense unless Charlotte wants to go down to NXT and make Rhea Ripley into the next big megastar in the women's division. Things need to happen here before we can get all excited about this fantasy match, because on paper, obviously it looks appealing, and it's a fantasy match that I'm sure you guys have recreated in WWE 2K, but things need to happen. Charlotte needs to go down to NXT, first and foremost, and massively, and I mean massively, put over the NXT women's title and the NXT's women's division. It is already being heralded as the best women's division in the world, not only in the WWE, in their history, but the world. Even better than the division that brought the women's evolution of wrestling to prominence with Becky, Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte herself. Can't forget Emma or Paige either. If she doesn't, what is the point of her winning the Royal Rumble and challenging for this specific title? Charlotte challenging for the title might make sense to us as fans, and we see things differently, a lot differently than what Vince McMahon might see. I find it very hard to believe that Vince would okay this match with Rhea Ripley and have the NXT Women's title outshine the main roster women's titles. So, am I to believe that Vince McMahon wants to give off the perception of the NXT title being more valuable than what Becky and Bayley both currently hold right now? What does that say about Charlotte in the eyes of the fans? Is she too good for Becky or Bayley's titles? What happens when this little stint is over? She goes right back to the main roster to challenge for the main roster women's titles, leaving the NXT title and all that you want to accomplish with this little fucking shindig here with Rhea Ripley. It's going to be rendered useless. She'll look like a hypocrite and she'll lessen the value of the NXT women's title because it isn't the title she wants anymore. Nobody's thinking about that either. Might be the title that Charlotte Flair wants right now, but when she is done here and she goes back to Monday Night Raw to challenge for the Raw Women's title, what is that going to mean for the NXT Women's title? It was only a one-night fling. That's exactly what the NXT Women's title is going to be. A one-night stand. You look great. You look fucking sexy as fuck. But I'm going to take you back to the hotel room. I'm going to fuck your brains out. And then I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye. I might not even see you ever again. That's exactly what it is. So the only way I see this type of situation making any sense is if Charlotte is completely done with the main roster. Or if Charlotte was in the last years of her career, which unfortunately she's not. And she wants that one more shot in the place where Charlotte Flair was born, a.k.a. NXT. Am I to believe that Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble with the plan in place for Rhea Ripley? I would bet every single fucking dollar I have that this is a plan B or a worst case plan C. This is probably being done because Ronda Rousey will not be involved in WrestleMania. For all we know, WWE is probably still talking to Ronda to convince her to come back for Mania and a match with Charlotte. I guarantee you, Vince had it in mind to finally get the main event he wanted last year to happen this year with Charlotte and Ronda, with Becky getting Shayna at WrestleMania. This is not the original plan for WWE. There's no way anybody can believe that. If you do, you're a complete idiot. This is not the original plan. I doubt very highly this is the original plan. Now, do you want it to be the original plan? You know, Rhea Ripley's rise to stardom right now has organic written all over it. It's a natural thing. From what they did at War Games for her entire month of November, going into Survivor Series, winning the title from Shayna Baszler, everything is right where it needs to be. If you just shoot her up there to WrestleMania to beat Charlotte, it could potentially backfire. You don't want to throw somebody in the fan's face as this is who you need to cheer for. Because that's exactly what this is. WWE, this is a plan B or C because Ronda is not there. But this is WWE thinking, well, if we can't get Ronda, nobody wants to see Charlotte and Becky, nobody wants to see Charlotte and Bayley, we'll do Rhea. But if you do Rhea, then you're kind of wiping away all of that organic nature that she has right now in this momentum, in this build, and you're pretty much escalating it to a point where you're telling the fans, this is who you need to cheer for. It's not going to be organic anymore. It's not. And that's just the way I see it. And I honestly think a lot of people are going to agree with me on that. It's not going to feel as organic as it does now. Because at that point, if you're going to put someone like that on WrestleMania, you're telling the fans, this is who we have next in line to take over for Charlotte Flair. I don't want that. I want Rhea to show me that she deserves to be the next Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch or whoever the next in line. I want her to show me because it's her time. Not because WWE is telling me that I have to cheer and root for her and I need to see her in this spot. We'll see her in that spot when she's ready to be in that spot. I hate this aspect of pro wrestling. I hate when companies tell me I have to cheer for somebody. I have to look at somebody as being the next when she's not the one, or they're not the one, or he's not the one that I want. Let it happen. What is the rush? 23 years old. Why are we even in this fucking boat to begin with? Because WWE doesn't have anybody on the main roster that they want to build up. It's always Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, Alexa, Ronda. There's nobody else. They have nobody to blame but themselves. That's why they're in this position to begin with. Nobody understands that. You're looking at it from a fucking idiot's perspective. That's why I'm here. They wouldn't be in this position if they had legitimate fucking women built up, organically built up, with fan support. They got nobody on the main roster. Nobody. There's nobody on that main roster that would qualify for a WrestleMania match outside of the usual. Still, 5 years. 5 years of the same fucking people without one new name brought up. Not one. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? That is awful. That pisses me off more than anything else. Charlotte is reportedly, or it's reported, that Charlotte was given the Royal Rumble to make up for the promises that WWE could not live up in regards to her last year. Now, what I mean by that is, it was never supposed to be Becky Lynch. The main event was penciled in to be Ronda versus Charlotte. Becky got there by the skin of her fucking ass. She got lucky. If Becky didn't have her face broken, she would not be in WrestleMania. It's fact. It's fact. It was supposed to be Charlotte and Ronda. That alone is fucking scary. The fact that WWE gave Charlotte the Royal Rumble to make up for promises that they could not deliver to Charlotte because things changed. How fucking scary is that? That is awful. You shouldn't be promising anything to anybody. What about the hard work that goes into being a pro wrestler? Working your way up through the ranks. You could, what this tells me is that you could work up to being the best fucking superstar that this company has ever seen, but if, we promised Charlotte Flair this, you're going to have to take another 2 years on the backseat. You're going to have to sit down and wait for Charlotte Flair to live through all these promises that we promised her that we didn't really deliver to her the years prior. How awful is that? That is fucking ridiculous. Political garbage needs to die in this company. Fuck your political pull. You're not greater than anybody else just because you're a fucking Flair. You're not greater than anybody else because your fucking family is who they are, or WWE thinks that you're the fucking queen shit. Give me a fucking break. Fucking shits on everybody else trying to fucking get to where they need to be or where they deserve to be through hard work because you want to play fucking, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be eliminated by this person. I got the best win-loss record in WWE or the worst, whatever. The 11 title reigns, the worst win-loss record in WWE women's division history. Get the fuck out of here, whatever the fuck she said. Worst win-loss record last year out of any WWE female. Are you fucking kidding me? What are you promising this woman at this stage of her career? Really? She's a 10-time, 11-time, 19-time world champion, women's champion, right? Nothing should be promised to her at this stage of her career. She should be at a point in her career where she starts elevating others because of who and what she is to women's wrestling. Charlotte will always be looked at as what she is. Royalty. Promises for what? Exactly. What are you promising? To keep her happy and her mind at ease so she doesn't take her talents and her name elsewhere? This is why I don't understand the rumor of this match happening. They promised Charlotte the Royal Rumble to ultimately book a match with Rhea Ripley? That does not make any sense to me. And to put Rhea over? Yes, because Charlotte is going to the fucking Royal Rumble to win the Royal Rumble. And she was given the Royal Rumble because they promised her the Royal Rumble or promised things that they couldn't keep, so they gave her the Royal Rumble. She's going to want to go into WrestleMania after being a third wheel last year at WrestleMania to lose to Rhea Ripley and put Rhea Ripley over this year? Oh my God, man. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. If Rhea, first of all, if this match, we don't even know if this match is happening. If Rhea does not go over, then everything that you did for her to get her to this point will be 100% derailed. The momentum will not culminate the way it should. WrestleMania is about moments. With how Rhea has been booked, it would seem that this type of match for her at this age of Rhea Ripley, 23, is a WrestleMania moment. Oh, folks, we're not done. I got more. I got a lot to say about this. How much of this is WWE really wanting this match? I mentioned before it could possibly be a plan B or a plan C. I don't think anyone is going to be a permanent game changer or a difference maker in the ratings. People's programming habits are vastly different in this day and age. Is WWE going all in on Rhea Ripley, or is this part of the dreaded AEW effect? WWE could get away with this type of shit. Charlotte won the Royal Rumble. She has a pick of whoever she wants, NXT included now that they are a legit third brand and live on the USA Network every Wednesday. The opening is there for them to slide Charlotte into NXT and have it make sense and derail AEW in the ratings for WrestleMania season, if only for a little bit. Then they'll go right back to where they usually are. They did it before with randomly throwing NXT into the Survivor Series, so why not now? Plus, nobody in this sport, or nobody watching this shit, wants to see Becky versus Charlotte or Bayley versus Charlotte at Mania. But I honestly think this is a plan B or a plan C if Ronda is not coming back. I know for a fact Charlotte did not want to get eliminated by Shayna Baszler in the Royal Rumble. Why? I don't have a clue. It's just political fucking garbage when it comes to Charlotte Flair. She doesn't want it. She's going to get what she wants. That shouldn't be looked at as a negative at all, being eliminated by Shayna Baszler, especially seeing how Shayna has been unbelievably protected and babied by Triple H and has been the most dominant female outside of Asuka in NXT history. In the end, if she didn't want to lose the Rumble to Shayna Baszler, what makes you think she's going to want to lose to someone who is of lesser skill than Shayna in Rhea at WrestleMania? If this thing is really going to happen, it needs to happen, and the outcome needs to be Rhea Ripley going over. What happens to Charlotte after the fact, I have no idea. And quite honestly, I don't care. She is so overexposed at this point that anything she does is having a negative effect on the fans. The fact that her name has been in the news on Graves' podcast is being booked shitty on Raw, and in her own words, all of her title reigns were important because they went on to have bigger things happen for others. And in other situations, they led to bigger situations. And the fact that she had one of the worst win-loss records in all of the women's division in 2019 have given Charlotte that everything she does will be under the microscope feel. And if WWE continues to push her the way that they've always have, she will inevitably turn into the female Roman Reigns, if not there already. The reactions at the Rumble already proved that point. Does this match make sense? No. Does WWE have this plan from the get-go? No. There's only one way in and one way out. Charlotte walks in, Rhea walks out winning. This makes no sense unless Charlotte Flair is moving down to NXT, which in itself doesn't make fucking sense because you got a flourishing women's division there that's going to be fucking poisoned by Charlotte Flair. Yes, let's feed the entire fucking division, literally, to Charlotte Flair. Can you imagine if Charlotte Flair becomes the NXT Women's Champion and then is in NXT? Goodbye. Goodbye. The women's division goes from the best to the fucking worst. That would be terrible. That would absolutely be fucking terrible. Becky Lynch, speaking of Becky, and Shayna, who should have won the Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler is still planned for WrestleMania. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, okay. Sure it is. We'll see. I still don't even believe Ronda Rousey. There were reports that Ronda Rousey is not going to be at WrestleMania. I will believe that when things finally take shape. When I see other matches being booked, not including Ronda, then I'll believe it. Ronda not being at WrestleMania, she may be at WrestleMania, but I have a very difficult time believing she won't be in a match at WrestleMania. The money's there. WWE has all the money in the world to fucking throw at this woman to come back, incentive-wise to come back. And if Vince wants, he's going to get. Seriously. So, everything about this Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair thing right now is all bullshit until we actually see it develop. And I just gave you every fucking possible point as to why it doesn't make sense. There's a lot more negatives than there are positives. Yeah, it's one big positive for Rhea Ripley, but I don't believe that Charlotte is going to want to put over Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania when she didn't even want to be eliminated by an NXT superstar in Shayna Baszler, which is not a bad thing. Shayna and Becky is still on. This is coming from The Observer, and Meltzer is noting that there is no word on how WWE will get Baszler and Lynch, and I don't know why he said that. We have the Elimination Chamber coming up in March. Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch previously went one-on-one, or tangled, I would say, at the Royal Rumble, or at the Survivor Series, not the Royal Rumble, at Survivor Series, in a triple threat match with Bayley. Baszler won that match by forcing Bayley to submit. She and Lynch and the entire storyline that was built for Survivor Series was great when it was Becky and Shayna. And the match itself was not all that well received whatsoever. It was actually terrible. Roman Reigns versus the Universal Champion Bray Wyatt is also penciled in for WrestleMania. Reigns was also originally scheduled to win the 30-man Royal Rumble match, but both Rumbles were changed at the last minute. No word on how WWE will get Reigns versus Wyatt, but we should have a better idea about this in the weeks to come. I don't know why everybody is reporting, I wonder how we're going to get Roman. I wonder how we're going to get Shayna at WrestleMania. We have something called the Elimination Chamber coming up, which is on the road to WrestleMania. Duh! So that's that. It's still planned. So if we got Rhea versus Charlotte, which I need to see to believe, and even at that point, I'm not going to be fucking jumping over the moon for it. Becky versus Shayna. All right. And then you got Sasha versus Bayley. That is a 1, 2, 3 decent fucking lineup for the women there at WrestleMania. I just got to see it to believe it. Ronda not being at WrestleMania, very difficult to believe at this stage of the game. Guys, I got more Royal Rumble news. I got Royal Rumble news concluded for the women. Now we're going on to the men. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Edge, AJ Styles, Kane Velasquez. Everything you want about the Royal Rumble and the news that came from it on Sunday, I got it right here on the show. First, before we get into that, I got to shout out my sponsor. They are back for the winter, the remaining months of the winter, and I want to thank my boys over at The Ridge. We're happy to continue this partnership, and The Ridge helps you carry what you guys need every single day. From streamlining how you carry cash and cards in their flagship Ridge wallet, which I have right here, to their portable charging commuter backpack, they want to make the most out of what you are bringing with you every single day. Now, I've been using this wallet, man. I've been using this wallet for about a year and a half, and I love it. I love everything about it. You see the wear and tear on this thing, it looks brand new. Nothing about this wallet is damaged. It looks like it legitimately, after a year and a half, still came out of the case. That's how durable this is, man. This is titanium, sunburst titanium. I take it with me everywhere I go. And when I pull my wallet out of my pocket, I could be at the craft beer bar, I could be going out to dinner. I pull my wallet out, and I know when I pop this thing out, yeah, look at that. Card comes right out, right back in. It's easy. It fits in your pocket. You don't have this overbearing, fat George Costanza wallet that's ripped everywhere. This is what you need, man. Carry the basics, your card and your ID, and you even got a strap for your cash on the back as well. This is awesome. It's so much of an improvement over my last wallet. The Ridge also has RFID blocking quality, so no matter my cards or my ID, everything about my identity and my card information is going to be safe in my wallet because of the RFID blocking qualities. The Ridge is so confident that you'll enjoy their product, they've made it as simple as possible. Free shipping so you guys get it fast. Free returns in case you don't like it, which I don't know why you wouldn't. And if you do like it, there's a lifetime guarantee. Ridge also has 30,000 5-star reviews, so you know it's a damn good product. Ridge is super durable, made from military-grade materials like titanium and carbon fiber. It's bulletproof, it's waterproof, and it's chainsaw-proof. This is what you guys need to do. Ridge.com/script. You're going to use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off if you guys want anything from their website. And I want to thank them for supporting and sponsoring Off the Script. Again, that's ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off and get yourself a Ridge wallet like JD. And I want to thank them for supporting, again, for the next 3 months, Off the Script. All right, here, man. Moving on. We got the Men's Royal Rumble, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I hated it, and then I ended up liking it. And there were a lot of fun, memorable moments in this Royal Rumble. I look back at it, and it was one of those things where I even tweeted. I'm like, the roster is being completely buried. Roster-wide burial for Brock Lesnar. I'm like, give me a break. How much more can this company do for Brock? You know? It's downright disgusting. And then I seen the talent that was thrown in there. I think, honestly, everybody outside of John Morrison, you know, really didn't matter to me. I mean, I would not have put Morrison in that spot. I would have most definitely put The Miz in that spot to get him eliminated. He's a fucking bum. But guys like Nakamura, Strowman, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Roode, right? Guys like that. It was not that bad looking back at it. And then you got guys like Kofi, and you got guys like Big E, and you got guys like Rey Mysterio, right? Those guys are like fucking Teflon. Those guys have impenetrable armor. You can't fucking bury those guys. They are going to be looked at no matter what, the same way every time they come out. That spot was great with Big E and Kofi and Rey Mysterio all triple teaming Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar just fucking... I mean, the spot where he jumped off Big E onto Kofi with a flying clothesline was fucking unbelievable. And looking back at it, like I said, I didn't really mind it. I'm glad that they didn't go longer than that. I don't think Brock Lesnar could have physically went any longer, to be perfectly honest with you. He was completely gassed. And then Drew McIntyre came in, and Ricochet was there. Low blow from behind. That led to the Claymore kick. It was some great stuff. It really was. The first half of the Royal Rumble was actually better than the second half. The second half included Edge, but I love the way the Royal Rumble was booked. In the end, I really did. It wasn't the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, and whoever says that is an absolute fucking buffoon of epic proportions. You are... Let me see. What do I got here? You're like Ryu fucking getting a... Hadouken! Or Shuriken! And Street Fighter. Goodbye. Get the fuck out of here. Greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Fucking assholes. Hi. Ric Flair would like to talk to you. 1992 would like to talk to you. Monsoon and Bobby Heenan would like to talk to you. That promo that Mean Gene had with Ric Flair would like to fucking have a word with you. Fuck out of here. 2020 Royal Rumble's better than 1992? You gotta be out of your fucking mind. If you guys love the Royal Rumble, you will really appreciate this next piece of information. Shane McMahon. Yes, Shane O'Mac, the one who diseased SmackDown in all of 2019, helped book the Royal Rumble. According to Dave Meltzer, the Royal Rumble, the Men's Royal Rumble, was put together by Shane McMahon, Jamie Noble, and Chris Park, Abyss, with Lance Storm and additional input from Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, and Triple H. Triple H. So the Women's Royal Rumble was put together, says Meltzer, by Michael Hayes, TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd, Adam Pearce, Mickie James, and Paul Levesque. So that's that. So you could see where Paul Levesque had his input on the Women's Royal Rumble for sure. That was obviously all Triple H. He's like, I'm going with Bianca, and if Bianca is going to have 30 minutes in this thing, I think it's beneficial for her to have this type of spot because more than likely she's getting called up to the main roster. And I think that's what their idea was. I think Bianca, this was a grooming of sorts for Bianca Belair on the main roster because with her loss to Rhea Ripley, she's undoubtedly getting called up to the main roster. There is absolutely nothing that woman needs to do in NXT anymore. That would be 3 opportunities at the Women's Championship, and she failed at all 3. If she doesn't do it this time at TakeOver Portland, then it's time to move her up. And I do think she goes to Monday Night Raw. That's just my take on that. And Monday Night Raw could certainly use... Actually, I think both divisions could use someone like Bianca Belair, but I do think she ends up on Monday Night Raw. And the Royal Rumble was a precursor to being on the main roster. Because you're not going to book Bianca Belair for 30 minutes if she is not almost at the cusp of being called up to the main roster. And Triple H, obviously, with his input on the Women's Royal Rumble, clearly you see where that influence came from and where that decision was. So that's that. So it's amazing how Vince McMahon had nothing to do with these Royal Rumbles except who was going to win. Who was going to win? So speaking of the Men's Rumble match, it has been reported that the winner, Drew McIntyre, is going to main event. As of right now, the main event of WrestleMania will be Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, as it should. As it should. So that is very interesting, man, that Shane McMahon, you might have hated him. You might have hated him in 2019, but he was one of the main driving forces in the creative aspect of the Men's Royal Rumble. And these are a lot of new names here, man. Noble is someone who's been there for a while. But this is the first year, I believe, for Lance Storm back in the WWE as an agent. And Chris Park being there, coming over from TNA as Abyss. This was his first year producing a Royal Rumble from my knowledge. Then you got Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Obviously, they're going to have input on what they got to do. And they know better than anybody what is best for them. So that was obviously the case. Vince McMahon was heavily involved in the finish, of course, with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. And Vince McMahon was very hands-on with the sequence and Reigns being eliminated. So that's that. But look at the new blood in the Royal Rumble. Shane, Chris Park, Abyss, and Lance Storm. I think that needs to be a thing from this point on. New, fresh faces instead of the same old, booking these matches. And I think it worked out great and ended up being one of the better Rumbles in recent memory. AJ Styles, he was in the Royal Rumble. Now, everybody's wondering with his injury in the Rumble, off the spear from Edge, what he's going to be doing in the WrestleMania aspect. He might not even make it to WrestleMania. How long is he going to be out? Well, if AJ Styles is to be believed, and I'd rather go to the source than hear somebody in the fucking community, some cretin in the community, he's going to be out for about 4 months. We heard it from Mr. Styles himself. Now, Meltzer said on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the WWE is hoping whatever's wrong with Styles will be okay by WrestleMania time. Of course. A fucking idiot could have came up with that report. Of course they want him for WrestleMania. What he does at WrestleMania is another question. Meltzer says, and I quote, "The one thing I heard was, and this may be dated by a couple of hours, but the hope is that AJ will be ready for WrestleMania. I guess that means the injury isn't super serious, but a separated shoulder is significant. Any type of injury to a guy like that is significant. Now, I hope AJ is ready to go for WrestleMania. I think a guy like AJ only adds to WrestleMania. Styles actually jumped on his video game stream on Mixer, and he confirmed the injury. So AJ says, and I quote, "I don't expect to be out very long." He also said that he should be back before they think I am ready. So that's what he said. And then he goes on to say that I am not missing WrestleMania. I will scratch and claw my way to Tampa. So that's what AJ Styles had to say. And it's nice to know that he's got so much fucking passion coming back and not wanting to miss WrestleMania. The thing is, I would be a betting man in this and say that if AJ didn't get hurt, I honestly do think rated RKO would have been a thing from here on until WrestleMania, because there was no other points in anything creative that really would make sense for them. Randy Orton and Edge being back for WrestleMania against the OC. They could have even went out there and got Orton, Edge, and you could have got fucking Christian to team up with them, to team up with Rated RKO against the OC and AJ Styles. I think that would have been a phenomenal match. That would have been really, really fun. That's what I think the plans could have absolutely detailed with AJ Styles not being hurt. Now, AJ Styles got hurt. Clearly, WWE is in WrestleMania mode. Clearly, they got to get the ball rolling. They can't wait for 4, 5, 6 weeks for AJ Styles to be out and then book something at WrestleMania. Edge is back now. They want something now to kind of play on the heartstrings of everybody and play off the emotion and play off the fact that he's back. They want to get him back on TV in a WrestleMania match now so people know. So now they're going with Edge and Randy Orton. On paper, it looks great. Edge, Randy Orton, I think that's a great match. How Edge is going to fare in a one-on-one match with Randy Orton, I think it's the right opponent for him. I don't think there is anybody in that level of superstar that's going to take care of Edge like a Randy Orton. He's going to be very safe and he's going to protect Edge. That's a great first match back for Edge and Randy Orton, just based on those aspects alone. Very good friends in real life, etc., etc. Nobody going to be out there that's better to protect Edge. But it's going to make everybody think, what if? What if AJ didn't get hurt? If this is the match for WrestleMania, what is AJ going to do at WrestleMania? I don't know. And as far as everything on Monday Night Raw, to be perfectly honest with you, man, you know, it's very difficult to say. It really is. There really isn't anybody on Monday Night Raw that I'm jumping out of my seat for with a match against AJ Styles. The only one I could possibly think of is Aleister Black. And even that doesn't make any sense. Because the styles, though, they mesh and they gel very nicely. I'd love to see that. And a big win for Aleister over AJ at WrestleMania would be phenomenal for him. But he's mixed in with the AOP, Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins deal with Joe and Kevin Owens. So I don't know where that ties into there. And I could see Rey Mysterio joining that group and having a big 8-man tag at WrestleMania just to kind of get everybody on the card instead of doing these one-on-one matches, you know? So it kind of plays into that aspect as well. What does AJ do? The other thing, and I don't know how many of you guys are going to like this, and I know I just got done talking about The Undertaker not being on WrestleMania's card because of, you know, taking a spot away from a younger talent. And I might sound like a hypocrite here, but it's just an idea. What if The Undertaker and AJ Styles go at it? What if AJ Styles comes back and says, listen, there's no room for me on a WrestleMania card. I'm fucking AJ Styles. I'm the phenomenal one. I want to make a big splash at WrestleMania. I challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Could be a decent match. I mean, The Undertaker and AJ Styles, I think that would be a nice contrast of styles. And it would get AJ Styles and The Undertaker on the card. If The Undertaker wants to be at WrestleMania, I don't know how better of an opponent AJ Styles could be compared to anybody else. I mean, that's fucking top of the league right there. That's just an idea. Not saying I want to see it happen, but if AJ is out for the next 5 or 6 weeks leading to WrestleMania, it's going to be difficult to plug him in to a WrestleMania card. Unless you think outside the box. I don't know. Maybe somebody from NXT. Maybe Johnny Gargano. Maybe Adam Cole. Adam Cole could lose the title to Tommaso Ciampa on February 16th and then join the main roster. Undisputed Era is going right down the toilet in Portland. The Broserweights are going to be the tag team champions. Adam Cole might lose the NXT title. We might see Undisputed Era on the main roster for WrestleMania. we might see Undisputed versus the OC at WrestleMania. That could be a thing. Maybe they're fast-tracking the Undisputed era. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult to plug AJ Styles into a WrestleMania. Him being hurt kind of fucked up his WrestleMania plans. But I'm hoping he's back sooner rather than later. And according to him, he'll be back sooner than they even think. And nobody knows AJ's injury and his body and his recovery better than AJ. Update on why Kane was never in the Royal Rumble match. According to Dave Meltzer on the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, WWE never had plans for Kane to be in the Royal Rumble, making his return promo just over a week ago worthless. Absolutely confusing. Now, while we didn't get an appearance from Kane, fans in Houston were treated to the surprise of Edge. So I will gladly trade Kane for Edge. Kane could be back to set up something for The Fiend at Super Showdown. Who knows? There were rumors about an Inferno match at Super Showdown, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, Super Showdown, Kane could be facing The Fiend, and that could be setting up for the Inferno match on February 27th. Meltzer did not comment on these reports, so we may have to wait until after SmackDown to find out what the future of Kane is in the WWE. There were some late changes in the Men's Rumble match on Sunday night. Why Kane wasn't in there, nobody knows. WWE never really formally announced. Kane kind of, I guess, informally announced that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble. This is my favorite time of the year, or whatever the fuck he was talking about. But, talking about souls and immortality and fucking digging graves or whatever the fuck he was talking about. But I'm glad that he wasn't in there. I think whoever was in there was the right people to be in there. Got some NXT talent in there. I made a big stink about tag teams not being in the Royal Rumble. They took Otis and Tucker out of the match when they were originally supposed to be in. So I'm glad that that's the case. Hopefully that's a edict going forward. No tag teams in the Royal Rumble. Nobody believes half of a tag team like Heavy Machinery is going to win the Royal Rumble. It's a waste of 2 spots that you could find for somebody else. That gives the Royal Rumble a little bit more of a legitimate feel. Otis did make an appearance in the Women's Royal Rumble outside to help Mandy Rose do that spot, which I absolutely loved, saving her from her first elimination. Rusev and Bobby Lashley were pulled from the match, and it was announced that they got into a fight backstage and would not be cleared to compete. Nobody gives a shit. They didn't give a shit about the angle or the storyline, so I'm glad that they were removed from the Royal Rumble. It made the Royal Rumble match that much better, and it let Keith Lee and Matt Riddle into the Royal Rumble. Even though those eliminations were fairly quick, the showdown between Lee and Lesnar had WrestleMania match written all over it. Now, Kane was originally scheduled to be in the Rumble, but those plans changed. Now, Kane talked about his history in the Rumble. WWE.com even teased that Kane was going to be stepping into the Royal Rumble match, and it did not happen. Cain Velasquez also went out there and was telling everybody that would throw a microphone in front of his face that he was going to be in the Men's Rumble match, although plans for him were changed. So there were rumors going around that he was supposed to be in there, but they really didn't factor him into anything in the Royal Rumble. There were rumors of Lita and Victoria in the Royal Rumble. Those plans were axed because there were photos released online the night before with the entrances at Minute Maid Park being shown on the big screen from the hotel across the street. People were in the hotel taking pictures, and they seen WWE just going over lighting and Titantrons and all this stuff. So they seen the packages for Victoria and Lita, and once that got out, WWE pulled those women from the Royal Rumble. So I'm told, says this source, they fucked it up for everybody, the people in the hotel across the street. In fact, I'm told that it looks like the air had been taken out of those superstars. They were just deflated. So they were all set to go, Lita and Victoria, and then when it was leaked and then WWE pulled it, they were obviously disappointed by their, I guess, inclusion in the Royal Rumble no longer being inclusion. So that's that. Matt Riddle. We'll go over Matt Riddle in the Royal Rumble and whatever happened with Brock Lesnar and the backstage confrontation. Was it a work? Was it a shoot? We'll go over that tomorrow. I don't want to sit here longer than I have to because there's just so much to go over here. Matt Riddle. Now, this is just me personally. This is not a story. This is not anything. It's not coming from a source. But I think I'm smart enough to realize when I see someone being punished for something or not on WWE TV. It's very blatant. Sometimes it's very blatant. Sometimes you got to kind of think about it, you know? Like Cedric Alexander. Is he being punished? Is he being buried? It took a couple of weeks for us to get there, but everybody that thought he was being buried was ultimately right. The guy was buried, and now he's off TV, which is a shame because he's too talented to be off TV. Matt Riddle, I made a big fucking deal about Matt Riddle being in the Royal Rumble and having a stare down with Brock Lesnar. Now, with the reports, it came out right before the Royal Rumble that Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle had a verbal confrontation, and I wasn't even sure if Matt Riddle was going to be in the Royal Rumble. He ended up being in the Royal Rumble. He got in there. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. Matt Riddle's in the Rumble. This is going to be exactly what I asked for. It's going to be great. It's going to be eliminating guys and bro derricks and fucking brotons and floating bros and flash knees and all this shit. He gets in there. He throws some kicks to Drew McIntyre, and then Baron Corbin eliminates him and then mocks him. Bro, fuck out of my ring. Get out of my Royal Rumble. There's no doubt in my mind. I said it then, night of, talking to myself. Well, there's Matt Riddle's punishment. There's Matt Riddle's punishment. Now, I didn't think it was for the Lesnar thing, because I didn't know if it was a shoot, if it was a work, if it was real, if it was not real. I wasn't sure. I'm like, well, there's Riddle's punishment for him being on the main roster, finally. And that was his punishment for all the Goldberg shit that he started. And WWE, there were reports about people in Titan Tower not really high up on Matt Riddle after what he did to Goldberg and what he said to Goldberg and blah, blah, blah. Now, Riddle made a main roster showcase on that episode of SmackDown, that emergency episode of SmackDown where everybody got stranded in Saudi Arabia. He was there with Keith Lee and did something with Sami Zayn. So they couldn't do anything to him then because they needed him then. They didn't need him on Sunday night. They needed him to punish him. Matt Riddle was punished. So at the end of this thing, Riddle participated in this match. He came out at number 23. And he came out at number 23 because he couldn't come out in that sequence where Brock was in there because they weren't going to give him the benefit of being in the ring with Brock Lesnar. That is a reward, not a punishment. It could be a punishment if they want to be fucking really big dicks about it. But they opted not to go with that in that situation. They opted not to go with that route because deep down, I honestly think WWE knows that Riddle and Lesnar is a money match. And they didn't want to fuck that up for anybody. So they embarrassed him in another way. They had him come out at number 23, and Brock was eliminated. He was in there for about 41 seconds. He managed to score a single, or he did not get a single elimination, and he was eliminated by Baron Corbin. Triple H noted before that Matt Riddle was the obvious pick for the cool spot in the Rumble and a showdown with Brock. This made his poor showing in the match all that much more confusing and surprising. However, some have speculated that Riddle might actually have been punished in the match on Sunday night, explaining his lackluster performance. Now, it was actually reported during the show by various news outlets that Lesnar and Riddle got into a verbal altercation backstage before the Royal Rumble. This comes after Riddle has been pretty open in the past about his desire to retire Brock Lesnar. And I don't want to dive too much into this because I got word from Sean Ross Sapp. This is 100% a shoot. This was all legit. The showdown with Brock happened backstage. I believe at one point Lesnar grabbed Riddle by the throat. And whatever was said was said. And I hope Matt Riddle from this point on goes and conducts himself like a professional. Because if he wants these things to happen, he has to show WWE that he's a good little soldier. Otherwise, he's not going to get it. Because Bobby Lashley's been asking for this match for how long now? And he still hasn't had it. And he's one of the most legit guys on the roster, real time. And he still hasn't gotten Brock Lesnar. Now, that could be because of two reasons. One, Bobby Lashley went over to TNA and made himself a name in Impact Wrestling. A bigger name than he did in WWE. Or two, maybe there are some people that think Bobby Lashley in a real shoot fight could destroy Brock Lesnar. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. That's just my way of thinking. And they wouldn't want to do that. They wouldn't want to do that to Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar. They don't want anything to come off like it did with Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is old. Cain Velasquez, there's no way that Cain Velasquez is going to fucking take down Brock Lesnar right now. In his state, in the shape that he's in right now, it's not going to happen. I don't know why they didn't do the Bobby Lashley match. Maybe more so it's the punishment of him going somewhere else and then coming back. They're not going to reward him with that type of thing, so they embarrassed him. And WWE has the stroke to do whatever the fuck they want anyway with a match with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. They could produce it and book it the way that they want. But maybe they don't want it to be that bad for both. Who knows? But I do think that they see money in Riddle and Lesnar. And someone speculated that Riddle was actually going to have a moment with Brock during the match. I was definitely one of those people. But he was punished for his poor behavior and antics on social media. And he was eliminated quickly. Now, this was only the cherry on top of the cake. They probably came up with this just because of the Goldberg shit. Could have been stemming from the Goldberg shit. So Meltzer talked about this and noted that Vince McMahon wanted to send a message to Matt Riddle and the rest of the NXT roster by having him eliminated quickly in the men's Rumble match. Meltzer says, and I quote, "We're told that Riddle's Rumble performance was because he has a lot of heat right now with Vince McMahon, and this was to send a message at a class at the Performance Center this week on dealing with social media. Talent was told not to call anyone on the main roster up or out on social media without their knowledge. So you are not to mention anybody if you're in NXT on Raw or SmackDown without going to management first. The elimination was not primarily to use Riddle's hardcore fan popularity as a way to get Corbin over, more as a heel past the idea Corbin himself was chosen for that reason. But that wasn't the reason he was in and out so quickly. We're not sure as to why McMahon wanted to do that to him, but it does explain his push not being, I guess, stopped or halted, because his marketability, and he is vastly over with the crowd, everything is there. So they didn't want to fucking bury the guy. They just wanted to show him up a little bit. Came in number 23, and I guarantee you the Lesnar thing was only the cherry on top of the cake, but this, I have to think this primarily stems from his past behaviors. As soon as he got in Vince McMahon's vision, and he's looking at the line sheet, oh, Matt Riddle? Yeah, we're going to bury this guy tonight. We're going to eliminate him in 40 seconds. That's what they did. That's what they did. I don't think this is good. Listen, they cannot be that stupid with how over he is and the marketability that Matt Riddle has and how fucking cool he is to the youth. How great he is in the ring. It would be a downright crime for these people to go out there and treat Matt Riddle like a fucking jobber. They can't do that. And they know they can't do that. And it goes to show you what Vince McMahon's thinking of Matt Riddle. And look at Triple H. Look at what he's thinking of Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle just won the Dusty Classic with Pete Dunne. So Vince McMahon's petty, and Triple H is like, bro, we'll talk to you, right? You got to learn your lesson. That's your lesson. I'm going to keep it going here. You guys are the right winners. I'm not going to bury you. You're going to win the tag team titles. Triple H sees what he has in Matt Riddle. Vince McMahon couldn't give a shit. Matt Riddle's just another name. Another skinny punk in fucking UFC shorts that wrestles barefoot. That he's eventually going to put boots on. Right? Disgusting. It is what it is. It's like Matt Riddle's not going to have another Royal Rumble match. He will. Hopefully, by that time next year, he's a little bit more mature. Cain Velasquez was not in the Royal Rumble. I don't know who asked for this or who wanted this. Some people are saying that this was a mistake not putting him in the Royal Rumble. This was actually a fucking blessing. He wasn't in the Royal Rumble. So, what are the mysteries of the Royal Rumble? Mystery, no. Like I said, it was a blessing. Of the Royal Rumble was the lack of Cain Velasquez, who had pretty much announced in interviews he was going to be in the match. He wasn't, and Dave Meltzer shed some light on this and why he wasn't in the match on The Observer. Basically, despite Velasquez being told he was going to be in it, he was never going to be in the Royal Rumble. Meltzer says this, and I quote, Cain Velasquez was told he was returning for the Rumble, but the word is that despite that, when they were making plans for the Rumble, they also had never included him in those plans. Goodbye. I'm not shedding a tear, and I'm not regretting not seeing Cain Velasquez in the Royal Rumble. If that was the case, then the Royal Rumble would have ended up being very different than it was. Clearly, they went with McIntyre and not Velasquez. I don't even know why this guy signed with the WWE at this point. They probably paid this guy fucking mountains of money to keep him off the indies. Go get yourself healthy. You'll be with the WWE. We'll use you when we need you. You're not going to AEW. That's all that is. He wasn't in the Rumble. Hopefully he's never in the Royal Rumble because God forbid. God forbid. We got some Aleister Black and Drew McIntyre news. You guys understand that McIntyre was not booked to win the Royal Rumble when this thing first started. Roman Reigns was always booked to win the Royal Rumble, but somehow we went from Reigns to Aleister Black, not Reigns and Drew McIntyre. This is interesting. Now, on Sunday night at the Royal Rumble, we all know that McIntyre eliminated Lesnar. He eliminated Lesnar from the Rumble. He went on to win the whole thing. He's challenging Brock at WrestleMania for the WWE title. Drew right now is the hottest thing on Monday Night Raw. Good for him. He deserves it. And it's amazing to see how over he is right now after just being in the middle of absolutely nothing for so long. The match with Lesnar should be good at WrestleMania. Paul Heyman is reportedly very much behind Drew McIntyre. Heyman is even campaigning to Vince McMahon for McIntyre and Lesnar to main event WrestleMania instead of Vince's choice of guess who? Roman Reigns and The Fiend. Can you imagine? I don't understand it. This guy won the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is the WrestleMania main event. The winner of the Royal Rumble gets the WrestleMania main event. Can you imagine being Drew McIntyre and winning the Royal Rumble and then not getting the WrestleMania main event, meaning the last match? The WrestleMania main event is the last match on the show. That's what the Royal Rumble winner should get. Can you imagine that? What if McIntyre won the Rumble this year and got the opening match this year, like Seth Rollins got, right? And then Reigns goes on to win the Rumble in 2021, and he gets the WrestleMania main event. He gets the last match on WrestleMania 37's card. How would that look? Vince doesn't give a fuck. That looks incredibly fucking biased. That is awful. I don't get this old fuck. He wants Roman Reigns and The Fiend to main event WrestleMania over McIntyre and Brock Lesnar? I'm sure Brock Lesnar doesn't give a shit. The earlier in the show he is, the quicker he could go home. But my God, man, Roman and The Fiend is not the marquee championship match at WrestleMania this year. You go with the marquee. You go with Lesnar McIntyre. You go with the winner of the Royal Rumble. I don't know if Vince heard, but nobody wanted Roman Reigns to win that Royal Rumble. And that's not a match that I look at as being the final match of WrestleMania. You go with who's hot. Roman will never be hot. Roman is always going to be mediocre. Because people know they're not dumb. You forced him for so long, and nobody is going to be on him like that. They're not going to be drawn to him like that. You gotta go with what's hot. Stop overthinking. You got it right in front of you. Just continue doing it. Don't stray from the path. Now, Paul Heyman is behind McIntyre. Vince wants Reigns and The Fiend. Paul Heyman is also very high on Aleister Black, and it's been reported that WWE considered giving Black the Lesnar match over McIntyre at WrestleMania. On this matter, Dave Meltzer said, and I quote, Aleister Black was in the running for the Lesnar match. The decision was made to go with McIntyre, and it's probably the right decision. That's the understatement of the fucking evening. Considering it's probably early for Aleister Black, but he was absolutely in the running for that decision. End quote. This was the right call. Aleister Black, I could see against Brock. I think that would be a great match. But Aleister is not there yet. Aleister could have been there if he was on TV and didn't take an 8-month hiatus hiding in a fucking closet. He could have been there. But the fact that WWE kept him away for so long, he did not generate that type of reaction not even generate. He didn't even have the opportunity to generate any type of reaction because he wasn't on TV. People seen Drew. People seen Drew. Drew went through the ups and downs. He went through the garbage. He sifted through the garbage. He became a babyface. He got more TV time, more opportunity to just go out there and show people who he is. And it worked wonderfully for him. And now he's in the main event. Do I see Black versus Brock eventually? Absolutely. Do I see Black versus McIntyre down the road? Absolutely. Absolutely. Black is a superstar in the making if he stays healthy. Now, Black is a superstar on Raw. He will be, no doubt in my mind. But he has not been established on Monday Night Raw for a match with Brock Lesnar. And winning the Royal Rumble, yes, it would have helped immensely. But the fact that McIntyre had already built up a resume for himself and he put himself out there for the fans to get behind him in that moment, right? It was lightning in a bottle. It would have had to work out even more perfectly for Aleister Black, and I don't think even winning the Royal Rumble, fans would have gotten behind Aleister Black. They need to hear from him. They need to see him. They need to feel him, right? They got to be emotionally invested. Just that little emotional investment on Drew McIntyre made all the difference in the world in him eliminating Brock, and when that happened, him winning the Royal Rumble went over like fucking gangbusters. Unbelievable. Black will be there, but he had no momentum. And even winning the Royal Rumble and getting a match with Brock, I don't think it would have ended up being that emotionally invested on the fans or by the fans. There was going to be no emotional investment there for that type of match because everything just needs to line up perfectly, and it did for Drew. Now, when did Drew McIntyre find out he was actually going to win the Royal Rumble? This is interesting. Bleacher Report had an exclusive interview with McIntyre where he spoke about winning the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match, and he called it a big deal. According to McIntyre, of course it's a big deal. He found out that he would win the Royal Rumble match the day of the show. Can you imagine that? Nobody was told about anything Royal Rumble-wise until the day of the show. He says this, and I quote, "I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything on Saturday. I'm talking about late. Then Sunday morning, I find out. I've learned through many of my experiences to just go with the flow. And when you get the information, you take it. You perform it to the best of your ability. That's why I always say sports entertainers, wrestlers, don't get the credit we deserve. You got to be thinking on your feet. You got to be ready to improve. You're doing your own stunts. You got to pull out the emotions from the crowd in the direction you want them to go. And there's no business like this. We literally think on our feet." I wonder legitimately how much time he did have with Brock Lesnar to go over what was going to happen. And the fact that it came off and was played so brilliantly, man, I wonder how much time he actually had from when he was told and what was going to happen. You know? I don't know. Was he told that he was going to win the Rumble and then told beforehand that he was eliminating Brock Lesnar? Was he told all this information at the same time? Right? I don't know. It's an amazing thing to even think about. And he puts it into perspective. They don't get the credit that they deserve. They don't. They don't. It's easy for me to fucking shit on things that I don't like or what I do like and what I think could be done better. But imagine being there in that moment and you, 5 hours, 6 hours before the Royal Rumble goes live on the air, you're finding out then, with all the chaos that I'm sure is going on backstage, yeah, you're going to win the Royal Rumble. Did he know that he was eliminating Brock Lesnar beforehand? How the fuck do you go about that? Do you fucking practice that? There's no chance you have to practice that. You just go with the flow, he said. And everything worked out brilliantly. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing how things are just always moving and you don't even have time to think about what you got to do, how it should be done, this, that. Unreal, man. Unreal. Both the WrestleMania main events are obviously what they are. It's going to be Reigns and Fiend. It's going to be McIntyre and Lesnar. But with McIntyre winning the Rumble and the original plan to be Roman Reigns, then we got Charlotte and Shayna Baszler, right? When were these Rumble winners announced? Obviously, I heard from Drew McIntyre it was going to be earlier in the day, some mere hours before the show. But both Royal Rumble winners were changed last minute. I don't know what last minute means or what time of the day it was. Were they told something? Where the original winners told something and then they changed the plans right then and there? Imagine that. Imagine being Shayna and Roman, hearing, yeah, you're going to win the Royal Rumble, and An hour or two later, yeah, you're not going to win the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't know why they changed, but Dave Meltzer reports on Wrestling Observer Radio that the original planned winners were Roman Reigns and Shayna Baszler. Interestingly, they can't have changed the matches very much because Roman Reigns and Baszler were the last people to be eliminated. Now, the decision was reportedly taken after WrestleMania plans were looked at more closely, and it was decided that it made more sense to have Drew and Charlotte Flair win. Reigns and Baszler are still scheduled to have major programs at WrestleMania, but it was deemed that they could do this without winning their respective Royal Rumble matches. So that's that. So I'm guessing the Elimination Chamber really played into the fact of Reigns and Baszler. Could have went that way with Charlotte and I don't know what they had planned for Charlotte. I really don't. It's still a fucking mind fuck to me. They could have went that way with Becky, finding out her opponent through the Elimination Chamber. Charlotte could have won the chamber for the women. McIntyre could have won the Elimination Chamber for the men. It would have been the same thing. But it was clearly Baszler the right winner. Roman Reigns was Vince's choice from all of what happened and from the get-go. So they were still scheduled to have major programs at WrestleMania anyway, but they figured that they could get them to WrestleMania in the matches that they were going to originally have anyway by not winning the Royal Rumble. So that's the decision on that. They were changed last minute. So I don't know why this wasn't thought of weeks in advance. Why you got to think of this in the last fucking minutes before Royal Rumble. I mean, it seems pretty sensible and pretty logical that, Roman and Baszler could find their way into WrestleMania in the championship matches that we want without actually having them win the Royal Rumble. I mean, I don't think these people really think all that well. I don't think they're too bright over there in fucking Connecticut. Finally, guys, there was a major disagreement between Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon over the WrestleMania main event. Now, I don't know when this happened, but Sunday we seen Drew McIntyre win the Royal Rumble, so obviously it had to happen after the announcement that Drew was challenging Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw. It had to happen on Monday. Paul Heyman, I've went over this several times, is a big fan of Drew McIntyre. He is one of WWE's top babyfaces right now. Heyman is reportedly such a fan of McIntyre, he wants his match with Lesnar to main event WrestleMania. According to Sportskeeda, Vince McMahon reportedly does not agree with Paul Heyman. Of course he doesn't. Sportskeeda is reporting that Vince wants Roman versus The Fiend to main event the show. First of all, The Fiend is a novelty act. He's not a champion that is worthy of a WrestleMania main event. When I look at and I think of WrestleMania main event, I think of fucking competition. I think of wrestling. I think of major championships. First of all, I've always said that the WWE Championship is the most prestigious title in the WWE. Fuck the Universal title. You're not going to take the WWE Championship and diminish it for the Universal fucking Championship. It's only important to Vince McMahon. It's more important to Vince McMahon and nobody else. Brock Lesnar holds the biggest title in the WWE. The biggest title is the WWE Championship. That goes on last. That's number one. Number two, it's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, whether he wants to, admit it or not, he's the biggest superstar in the company. Now, whether that means go on last or go on first, I don't think the guy fucking cares. He goes on first, he goes home first. He doesn't give a shit, right? He's got to be there till 12, which means he's got to fly out late in the evening to go back home. Because this is going to be a 9-hour affair. But to me, The Fiend, no matter how much you want to love The Fiend and how you think of The Fiend, it's a fucking novelty act. It's like a circus. I don't look at The Fiend defending his championship as a WrestleMania-worthy match. I look at McIntyre and Lesnar more of a WrestleMania main event match than I do The Fiend dressed in a scary mask against Roman Reigns. And the story with McIntyre is greater than the one that The Fiend and Roman are going to be telling. You can't really do, The Fiend and Roman and have it be more important than Drew McIntyre and Lesnar. There's realism in the McIntyre-Lesnar story. So that's going to garner more emotional investment from the fans, and that's going to make it a WrestleMania main event, on top of what we get just by their body of work. Now, WWE sources say, Sportskeeda, have made it clear to us that Paul Heyman is campaigning heavily to have McIntyre main event WrestleMania. Vince McMahon's preference to the main event is still believed to be Roman versus Bray Wyatt. Now, it was reported yesterday by Dave Meltzer that despite not winning the Royal Rumble, a match he was the heavy favorite for, Roman Reigns will go on to WrestleMania to challenge The Fiend eventually, which I'm assuming is going to win the Elimination Chamber. For what it's worth, McIntyre and Lesnar is the fans' choice, and I think the majority's choice for the main event of WrestleMania. Drew is really hot right now, and with Lesnar mixing it up with styles like McIntyre, I think it could be quite good. I mean, The Fiend hasn't had the best matches in WWE, only with Daniel Bryan, and like I said, his character, his act, and his in-ring ability, or the in-ring ability of The Fiend character, because I know Bray Wyatt can wrestle, but the character of The Fiend is not, to me, WrestleMania heavy, WrestleMania worthy in the main event. That's just me. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. So we'll see what happens there. I hope Vince doesn't get his way here. I hope Paul Heyman really kind of just tells him, listen, this is it. This is not it. This is the way it needs to be. And hopefully Vince listens. We'll see what happens. But Vince could listen now and then ultimately change his mind fucking 2 months from now. So like I said, we will see what happens. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you all so very much. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you missed any of my content this week, make sure you check the channel down below or the description down below for everything that you might have missed. If you guys want to donate and support on Patreon, you guys can certainly do that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Go out and check out my sponsor for today's video, The Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. And I will see you guys not only tonight for SmackDown, but I will see you guys right back here tomorrow afternoon with part 2 of Off the Script for this weekend, episode 311. Thank you guys so very much. Also, go get your t-shirts, man. Bonfire.com has been gracious enough to really put that design up there and really work it and put it up for sale and get the whole campaign going. Go and get your t-shirts, man. Link will be at the very top of the description down below. I'd love to fucking shout you guys out, clearly. Billy A., Courtney B., Johnny H., Anthony, Daniel B., Richard W., Jeremy L., Jesse R., Michael P., Tom M., Keith, Brandon, Jaquel, Daryl, what's up, brother? Dave, Carmine, and my boy Kedrick. Carmine and Kedrick, 2 of my boys. Thank you guys so very much. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for buying those t-shirts. Go get your t-shirt. The YWC Messiah right here on Off the Script. I'm getting out of here, guys. I will see you all for part 2 of OTS. See you guys later.